1976 to 2018 were the active years for The Fall, who were a band from Manchester. They were fronted by Mark E. Smith and critically acclaimed. They had many lineup changes, with Mark being the constant, and they created 31 studio albums during this time. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the first album by The Fall, and despite the name, it's not a live album. In fact, it might be quite difficult for it to be so, according to the description, because I'm not sure we've had any witch trials for a few years. Apparently, this was recorded in a studio in one day, so that is, something to admire. Maybe, I'm not sure. I would definitely classify this as being punkish, and that makes this the third punk album in a row that I'm reviewing. It's got the classic punk combo of a jangly electric guitar, sometimes very jangly, a crunchy but quite low down in the mix bass, drums that are quite snare-led, and a singer that can't sing particularly well, but also add in a cheap keyboard sound to this. So the music's anarchic, which maybe is a polite way of saying messy. It's slower than most punk, so it lacks that kind of energy, but it does still have that feeling of anarchy. And partly this is because being in key and in time is somewhat optional and temporary when it happens. Occasionally you get some interesting discords, but I feel like that's probably accidental. I can't really tell if the playing is let's try and think of a diplomatic way of putting it, off normal playing, so different to normal playing, because they can't play or because they're choosing to play in this way. It sounds a bit like they really just can't play very well, except for the drummer, who's quite good. But it is done with conviction. Okay. So I think the best thing about this album is Mark E. Smith on vocals. Is not great singing, but his attitude's very suitable for punk. He's got this kind of cocky swagger, which I kind of associate with, certainly with Manchester, maybe sometimes with Liverpool. I think Robbie Williams I think he's from Birmingham, or not, Stockport, somewhere around there, isn't it? Has got that again. It's this kind of hard man, yeah, kind of thing. The notes, kind of the tunes. He hangs around on one note quite a lot, kind of up and down around it, but quite a lot on one note, which is a very, I think, in my head, a Manchester thing to do, particularly of that kind of time as well. He seems to think of himself as an urban poet, and I would think that he's maybe about halfway right with that. I wouldn't say he's that profound, but a little interesting maybe. I probably liked the track Rebellious Jukebox the most, and a track called No Christmas for John Keys, which is a very thinly veiled way of talking about junkies rather than jonkies. It's just, using a title to get it past censors and stuff, whatever. So they were mildly interesting. Some of them are more interesting. I think the interesting things for me were the lyrics and the way that the vocals were presented rather than the music, which I kind of got quite sick of. It suffers from being the third in a row of punk albums. So it suffers for being after The Hive, so we're definitely better than this, who in turn suffered from being after The Damned 2 reviews ago, who are definitely better. I think I'm showing I have particular likings for certain kinds of punk, which is, I think there needs to be some obvious skill involved in it. So that's my very opinionated opinion. I know there will be people out there who absolutely love The Fall and think that I completely missed the point here. And if that's you, I'd really like to hear from you. So please talk to me through the comments box, whatever your opinion is. I do look forward to hearing what other people say. So that's it from me for now.